Well, I came to you from Miami, Florida. So I'm always traveling and training teachers. So it's fun to do this. We're here every Friday thanks to American TESOL. And you can get a free certificate if you go to that bit.ly, capital ELTLINK, lowercase s. And you'll get a free certificate that you attended this webinar. You can invite friends because we're here every Friday and it's absolutely free. We've done over 100 webinars, so it's very, very exciting, and they're all different topics. Sometimes we will revisit a topic, but it'll be a different presentation because there's so much you can do with so many tools out there. Today we're going to talk about teaching language for traveling. Now, many of these different types of activities I get from traveling myself. So I'm going to definitely share with you some of the tips that I have, so when you travel, it might be very useful for you as well. I love this quote by Henry Miller, and this is actually a picture that I took when I was, last month I was visiting Croatia. So this is a picture of Croatia. And I had a little robot because my children couldn't come with me, so I had their little stuffed animals take pictures and do a little story for them. But I think one of the reasons why we teach traveling to our learners, chances are your learners are very soon going to be traveling because it's a traveling season right now. And in a lot of places it's very warm and there's different holidays right now. So your learners can know the English that is necessary when they travel. And I know when I go to another country, I've been to 26, so you get scared and you have to know how to navigate. And chances are that in most countries, there's going to be someone who speaks English. So it's good to teach them travel English, because if they can't speak the language of that country, they'll be able to communicate, because most people around the world and many, many countries still have English as a foundation. So it really helps them with traveling and eases the pressure as well. So they'll thank you because they'll have a better trip if they're able to communicate what they need and what they want. So I'm going to go ahead and start with some lesson ideas. One of the things I have my students do, I have them present a previous trip. Now, they can do this in many different ways. Right now, I'm in a market in Croatia. You can see me there. But you can have them do this in many, many different ways. So I'm going to show you some activities on how they can do that. Now, when they talk about a previous trip, you can go over the past tense and different types of grammar that they'll need for that. But the way they can talk about that, one of the things that I have them do is called souvenirs in a bag. So what they do is they get keychains, or they get postcards, or they get shot glasses, whatever they want that they had from that country, they actually bought in that country, like a memento, okay? And they put it in a bag, and they put only about 5 of them, okay? Because then you'll take the whole class period. So they bring, like, you can either give them a Ziploc bag, or I give them sometimes like a paper bag, or you can just give them a cup or something that they can put it in. And what they do is every time they pull something out of it, they talk about it. So if they pull out a keychain, for example, let's see if I have anything that I can pull out here. Let's say I got a really cool pin, and I pulled out the pin, and it was a souvenir pin. Then I would talk about it. I would say, I bought this pin because it reminded me of, and that's kind of like an icebreaker activity, but it also gets them to share different things. My students, it was really great because they talked about different countries. They talked about when they were traveling in Berlin, and they showed beautiful, like, paintings and portraits and drawings they got of the Berlin Wall in like the 20s, and I mean in the Berlin Wall when it was first getting torn down, like before and after, and it was really, really neat. So the students will really love this activity. Now, this isn't a tech activity. This is actually bringing in realia and things that they like. So I think the students will really enjoy it. They can do this online, though. They can present this online. There's a really great site out there. It's called tripline.net. In Tripline.net, you can create an animated map of where you have been. So you can find examples of this. So if you, for example, want to take them on a virtual trip, like let's say, for example, you want to give them, show them Barcelona or something like that, you can search through Tripline.net and see previous participants, whoever has submitted on Tripline.net. You can see their presentations. They just use their voice and they use pictures. So this is a great activity because often when our students travel, they take so many pictures and they don't know what to do with the pictures, because if you're like me, you take hundreds of pictures and then you have nobody to really show them to. So your students will be very excited because you can say, now you can show your pictures. But it's very cool. You can mark on the map, so you have this animated map, and then you can put the pictures that belong to that. It has numbers. So here's 4, 2, 3. So they go step by step. They say, first we visited this place, and then we went and we saw this place. Then we went to this museum, and then they mark it on the map. So they're also learning geography as well. And it's online, but it's also a free app. So you can find this on your mobile device as well. Now, I learned about Tripline.net from TEFL Techer, WordPress.com. This is Ian James, and he has a fantastic blog. But he even has a tutorial on how to use Tripline.net, and he gives you a specific example. Now, this is his trip that he talks about. He went to Barcelona, and I don't know how to pronounce these other ones, Saragossa and La Coruña. I'm probably not pronouncing this right. So it has two things. It has the animated map on the top, but then it has a timeline of events in the bottom, and it shows the pictures bigger, and it shows the text. But this is a great tool to get your language learners to speak. You can assess what kind of language they know. They write with this, they listen, they speak, and they do some geography as well. So it's very nice. Oh, thank you so much, Olga. Olga shared with us a link as well. MyHistro.com does the same thing. The thing about MyHistro that's kind of nice is that you can do things from the past as well. So a lot of my students, my adult learners, are very interested in visiting a place and seeing historical sites and knowing what happened in the past. So MyHistro.com does the same thing. It has an animated map. You can have pictures, timeline, audio, all of that. It's also a free app as well. Another great tool is History Pin app. Now this one actually shows you nothing but like black and white and old pictures, classic pictures. So for your adult students, they might find the history is something very, very interesting. I know in Europe, a lot of Europeans are interested in this, especially adults and things like that. They want to know the history behind, and they want to see pictures. Now, all of these pictures were shared by community, by people who scanned their pictures and then uploaded them to this History Pin app. So it's very, very, very nice. They can take, it's a website and it's also an app. And what I mean by that is I try when I use different types of web tools to use something that will be on the computer, but I also want it to be on a mobile device, because when your students travel, they're going to have their cell phones, and a lot of them can download apps. So I think it's very, very useful. In the class, they may be more comfortable using the web tool to create their projects, but they may want to have the app so they can view their projects and stuff when they go travel again. The great thing is if you get participants, if you get your students to talk about different types of places they traveled, they can use their other students' presentations when they travel there. So let's say, for example, in my class, somebody went to Rome and then somebody went to Barcelona. Well, the student that went to Barcelona, maybe they're going to go to Rome someday, so they can use their friends' different presentation. Another activity I get them to do is to plan a dream vacation. Now, they usually do this together in pairs, or they'll do this in groups of 3. Roscoe, come here. Roscoe's getting in trouble. This is actually me in Hamburg. It was pretty nice, although it got cold later. There are many websites. There are some websites and web tools that are very good for students to do this. Now, a lot of the tools that I'm showing you, the students have to be 17 and older. So, FYI, history pen, I think they can be 13 and older. So, a lot of these different activities are more for teenagers and adult students. And if you want to have your kids plan it, I'll have some activities for that in a bit as well. But planapple.com is really great. This is what it looks like. It allows people to come on, and it gives them all of these different types of tasks so they can plan their dream vacation. So they can do where they're going to stay, what they're going to see and do, what they want to learn, what they want to eat, how they plan to get there. So they have to do transportation and all of that. So this would be a long-term kind of project. Your students would have to take maybe a week or two to really plan this out on here. But once they do, they'll know all of this kind of language and stuff for planning trips as well. So it's very, very, very useful. Roscoe, come here, Rossi. Sorry. But the really cool feature about Planapple is this plan together. So when they're working in pairs, they can collaborate and they can add to this little forum together. So they don't have to get a different forum at all. They'll just have this one forum and they can do everything. I think a really good tool, and your students can use this as well. And I think you can be 13 or younger to use this. And this is livebinders.com. Now, if you go to the bit.ly address that I provided in the chat box, you'll notice it's a live binder. But they actually have a template for planning a trip. And so you can use this template. You can design, you can give it to the students, and then they fill out each of the tabs. They have an introduction. The introduction will tell you, the students will say, I am planning a dream vacation to, and they can plan it to anywhere they want in the world. We're going to pretend that they have a chance to go anywhere they want to. It's their dream vacation. Why not? Ideas for places to go. Vacation packages. It has a tab for transportation, as one for gurus, accommodations, car rental, tours. And you can adapt this. You can change the tabs to make it be different kinds of things that you feel are more relevant for your students. So I think this one's a very, very, very good, type of template in that. Now, all of these resources are also bookmarked here. So you can go to the bit.ly and you'll go under travel and you'll see all of the resources. But you can also go to this Pearl Tree as well that they put in the chat box. Tourist iPlanner. Now, Tourist iPlanner is really cool. It's made for Google Chrome. It's like an extension that comes with Google Chrome. So it's free. It's free, but if you use the Google Chrome browser, then that's when you can have it. The great feature about this is it's like the Planapple one where you can plan your trip, but this one's really cool because you can click on, when you're surfing the web, you can click on different sites and you can drag and drop. So it's really cool. It's very convenient. This drag and drop feature is so nice. You can pretty much like bookmark different things that you see online. So if you see like a map or anything online and you think, oh, I want to put this in my tourist iPlanner, you can. It'll just put it all in. So it's really, really a cool thing. It's very, very easy to use, and it's very quick. It's so quick because you just click a little button. It's going to show you the steps on how to install it. It's an extension, and an extension means that you can click one button and it'll ask you things. It'll come up with a little box and it'll say, would you like to put this here or there? It's very, very useful and quick. So one of the things that I have my students do is search and download useful apps. So when we're thinking about a trip, I always have different apps that I put on my phone when I'm looking for a trip, so you can have them brainstorm one. For example, recently on my flight, I have the Fly Delta app. and I downloaded that. And one of the reasons I downloaded that is because it really, really helps me to see updates on my flight, my gate information, if there's problems or anything like that. So it's very, very nice. So ask your students, what would be useful apps you would want for your next trip? And so they can brainstorm them. Okay, so another thing is a city tour guide. Now the city tour guide, I download these. These are very useful. Most cities will have a free tour guide, and the great thing about it is sometimes this works offline. So once they download the app, it'll give them all this information about the museums, where to eat, concerts, all kinds of great stuff, because the city makes this app. So it's free and it's available offline, and this is how I get to see a lot of different things and learn the history about of the place that I am visiting. So this could be useful for your students as well. So what you do is you get them in a circle, and then you say, take out your phones, and you say, okay, we're going to go ahead and think of where you're going to travel to next. And they're going to say, okay, I'm traveling to Italy, or I'm traveling, maybe they're traveling to a city that's just within the country. Then you can say, okay, so what kind of apps do you think that you might need for that? And flight apps. So have them brainstorm, and then you can give them different categories like this. I download the public transportation. So for example, I was recently in London, so I downloaded the Tube map. It was offline. I download the train apps for the UK. There's a train app for that. So it makes traveling so much easier when you have these apps available to you. I usually do one for translation. I do one for useful phrases, so they can find apps where they can find travel English. If they look up travel English, they will find useful types of phrases and things like that. And they usually have free versions as well. And then also for specific sites. So for example, if they're going to see the British Museum, then they can get an app for that usually. So the museums and things like that all have different types of apps as well. It helps them learn the English. Sometimes it'll play audio, sometimes it'll play little videos and stuff like that as well. So your students will really enjoy it, and they'll have a better time on their trip, and they'll thank you for it. And these resources, you can ensure that they are in English, so they're practicing their English. But a lot of times they'll put in different languages as well. You can have them role play various travel situations. Now, some people are on the fence about role playing, but I think role playing is very, very good. One of the best resources for role playing is, well, here are some different travel situations you may want to role play. At the airport, these are just a few. In the chat box, think of some that I may have not included in here. So for example, they are going to need English for the airport, like different types of phrases for that, for being in a hotel, for eating at a restaurant, for asking for directions, for riding public transportation. What kind of, okay, so for museums, yes, great, Peggy. Hi, Peggy. What other ones as well might they need? What kind of, and you can ask them this as well. So at the beginning, I like to do a lot of brainstorming with my students. I usually put a little node, and I put travel, like a concept map, and then I put branches to things. I say, okay, so what are we going to need to know when we go travel? Oh, airport teacher, or hotel, or museums, or for riding the subway or something. Yes, very good. So Peggy said grocery stores and farmer markets. Yes, exactly. Customs, going through customs, different things like that as well. I guess that would be covered in that. One of the best resources I found for this is bogglesworld.com, survivalesl.htm. Boggles World ESL has entire curriculums dedicated to survival English for travelers. And these are pretty good curriculums. They're really in-depth lessons, and they're really great. And they do it with role play. So they'll give you role play cards that you can print out for free. They'll give you role play phrases. They have a role play board games and things like that. So there's quite a few things that you can do with it. They even have digital stories that are related to the different types of travel situations as well. So it's very nice. They have audio clips and things like that. You can do this online. They don't have to role play in person. Sometimes your students may be very shy, and especially if you have teenagers or even kids. Kids travel too. They travel with their parents. And I have heard from my adult students and also from various different types of students that kids actually do the translating in English for their parents. So it's very good. The kids too know how to use travel English because they often are the guides and navigators and the ones speaking in English when they go somewhere. So GoAnimate.com is a great tool. It's good for different types of students to use as well. I think you can be 13 and up to use this, and I've seen kids use it before as well. So with GoAnimate, you make a conversation. You can choose 2 characters, and they have tons of different characters that your students will absolutely love. And after they select their 2 actors, these 2 actors are going to be in a video, and they're going to talk. Then what your student does is they type in their dialogue. So you can give them a situation. You can say you're at an airport. I usually give them little slips of paper. I have little slips of paper I put in the bag, and the student pulls it out, and I say, okay, that's what your pair is doing. That's what you're writing a dialogue for. Now, they can either speak in the microphone and record themselves saying what the script that they just wrote down, or what they can do is they can type it in, and then they can select a different accent to read their script. So it's very nice. It's very interesting. Extra Normal will do the same thing as well, extranormal.com. And in extranormal.com, they actually have different types of situations for travel, like at a hotel. This particular movie here, it makes videos, but this one is they're at a hotel and the guy is having a funny conversation with the desk clerk. You can do this on your mobile device as well. You can do this on a mobile device. You can do it with Puppet Pals. Puppet Pals allows you to choose characters. It even allows you to draw characters and backgrounds. Now, there's a free version of Puppet Pals, so you can use that. But if you want to draw your own characters and you want to upload them and stuff, then they charge for that. So just FYI. You don't, and you can see a lot of kids use this app as well. You don't have to. You can use the free characters that are in there to do the role plays. And your students will have so much fun doing that. So it'll be really nice. One of the things I have my students do as well is investigate maps. Often I'll take maps from either from the city, like when I was teaching in Germany in Stuttgart, I would bring in maps of London or of other places in Germany, so they could navigate. And we would learn basic map skills, how to look for different types of things. The kids, they have this really fantastic, and adults can play this as well, and teenagers. Here they have an Adventure Island map game, and it teaches them map skills. It's so much fun, and it's really, really fantastic for kids. Basically, they're going on a trip to Hawaii, and this is their guide. He's a tour guide, but he needs help because he can't ride the bus around unless the kids help him, so they have to play all these games to navigate around Hawaii. So they'll have a lot of fun going to Hawaii, learning about Hawaii, but they also learn some very essential map skills. So they'll really appreciate you for that, and they'll love that they get to play a game. Another idea is they can share and evaluate a travel tip. So there's so many sites out there. I use TripAdvisor. I love TripAdvisor. Every time I go somewhere, I look at what they have on TripAdvisor, what other people have said. But there are other places as well. So one of the sites that I really like is tripfilms.com. It's also a free app as well. So a lot of these things they work as things for trips, and then they also online, you can do it with your computer and your laptop, but they also have apps. And the reason why is because these companies know that they're going to need that the traveler needs the information when they actually go on a trip. So it's very handy to have it on here. So they make free apps for it. So these are free apps. This site, many people go and they make little short clips, videos of where they're at. So they'll actually show you their different types of travel destinations, and they give you a tip. So for example, if they're by the Vatican, they may tell you, don't forget, before you go to the Vatican, you're going to have to wear, cover your shoulders, okay? So they may take a picture of that, and because then the people around will sell you very expensive scarves. So that could be a tip. So have your students watch the different types of tips on tripfilms.com, and then to come up with their own tip of a place that they traveled to before. And they can either, they don't have to post their films on tripfilms.com. It's just a way to get an idea of the different types of tips shared, and they can evaluate it, and then as an assessment, as a final project, you can have them do their own film, and they can just keep it within the class. They don't have to put it on tripfilm.com. Zoomango.com is also very good with this. They have it in a map form. So when you click on a different map, you can see videos of different places that people have traveled. And so it's a great way to share a tip. People, for example, if you want to know what to do in Athens or Rome, or if you in Italy, or you're going to Germany, then you would click just on the map and you'll see these little videos come up, and they tell you this is a great place to explore, this is why I like it, and they show you pictures and give you a bit of history. So they can use this for their dream vacation if they like, but they can also see the different places it says to go and whether or not they agree or it's something that they would like to. Yes, anyone can upload video clips on that site, but I do believe they monitor it. And this would definitely not, okay, so Trip Films and Zoomango are for adult students. They wouldn't be for, or teens, they wouldn't be for children. So just FYI. They can share and evaluate travel reviews. So those were tips before, like different tips. And I read travel guides all the time, and I love, because they have saved me so much money. They have saved me time in line. They've showed me how to get ahead in line, and they've just showed me so many useful things. So I think your students will really enjoy it. So my favorite, I was telling you about TripAdvisor.com. TripAdvisor.com, they can read the text. So the other way, they were looking at videos and they were looking at pictures and interactive maps. But with TripAdvisor, they have a little legend on the top, so they can kind of figure that out. And what they do is it's all these people who write a review. So your students can go and they can write a review and submit it on the site, because it's a written review, and they can see from the great thing about TripAdvisor.com is your students are probably very scared to write in English. They're afraid they're going to mess up and stuff. But what they can do is they can see other language learners, because people from all over the world write on TripAdvisor and in English, so they can go through the English on the review as well, and they can see if there's any grammatical errors or anything like that. And you can have them peer edit each other's reviews before they submit them. Now, Peggy says she doesn't buy anything without reading reviews. Me too. I always read reviews. If I get a hotel or anything like that, I read the reviews. I'm always reading reviews before I go to a restaurant or anything like that, and it's been so good to me. It's been really great. But you can do that with your students, where you can ask them, do you find reviews very useful? Do you ever look at reviews? So that can be a starter discussion when you're introducing these activities. So there's many different types of apps and web tools. This is when I was in Brazil. So I would love this presentation because I've gotten to share with you the different types of pictures that I took when I was going around. Wikitude. Wikitude is such a great, it's for adults. It's not, but it's on your app. So I don't think it's going to be too bad, but people basically, it's augmented reality. You put this wherever you are. You have to enable the GPS, okay? So I would say this is for adult students, okay? And then what it does is it pops up and it shows them everything around there. When they're looking at it, they can click and it'll say, this is a fantastic, company, or it tells them about everything around them in a place that they are. Now, Wikitude, usually it's with different places that are very popular. So like if you go to London or Paris, or if you go to New York or something like that, then it'll have so much information. And it's all, Wikitude is free. You should try it for your traveling. You'll just be blown away. It's so nice. It's very, very cool. It gives you things like where to go to the bathroom and things like that. It's very nice, and it's augmented reality, so it's very cool. Google Earth. I use Google Maps and Google Earth quite a bit when I'm trying to, a lot of places in Europe and different places, they have these little curvy stone paths, and I don't know how anybody finds anything without Google Earth or Google Maps. So these are some useful apps. When we were talking at the beginning, when you're students, when you say, what is a useful app you may want to have? Well, they may say Google Maps, Google Earth, because it'll put you in that place. So if they're looking for a hotel or something and it's like on a cliff, on the beach or something like that, it'll actually show them the walking. It'll put a little man there and you'll see it, see what it looks like. So that's helped me directions so much. Even last weekend when I was in Miami, my taxi driver couldn't find my the place that I was staying, so I had to use Google Earth and also Google Maps to see what the house looked like that I was staying in. Okay, there's also the World Wonders Project. This tells you about all the great things around the world, so you can take them on virtual trips. And it gives you different lesson plans as well as a board game, and it has a teacher's guide. So here, it's great because the World Wonders Project gives you lessons. You don't have to write them down. You just pick them out and you say, wow, I'll adapt it this way. It'll work for my students this way, maybe not this way. Airpanel.com, it allows you to see 360 of things. So when you look up, for example, Paris or something like that, it looks like you're there in 3D. It gets real live footage of it, of different types of places around the world, and it walks you through them, and it tells you the history and things like that. So we're about to wrap up, and you can find all of these resources in my Pearl Tree. You want to say bye, Ross? Bye. Tell everyone Happy Memorial Day, whoever celebrates. But you can find all of these in bookmarked on the Pearl Tree. I hope they were very useful to you, whether you go traveling or whether your students are traveling. It will be a lot of fun to teach them travel English. They'll learn certain phrases. Now, I didn't tell you the certain phrases that they'll use because when you go to these websites, it has the phrases listed for you. So when you go to the Boggles World, it's going to have all those phrases. It's going to have flashcards for it. It's going to have all of that for it. It's going to give you the different types of scenes, whether they need to go to the doctor, if they have an emergency, how to get insurance, all of these things. So that's what you'll find when you go to these different types of bookmarks. There's a lot of bookmarks. I've bookmarked so many different things. So have fun, and thank you so much for coming. Next week, we're going to talk about using word clouds to teach English. So how you can motivate your students by using word clouds. So don't forget to get your certificate at the bit.ly, and it's already bookmarked, and you can already find the slide presentation that